What's up everybody, my name is Kalen, I am the key keeper, and today we are going to be exploring something in more detail that I have been mentioning in my videos, the way Mercury and Venus are esoterically switched. And we know that because of the fact that Mercury is the exoteric ruler of Gemini, and Gemini is esoterically ruled by Venus. So I've already mentioned the birth of Mercury as per the Vedic story. I've mentioned the relationship of Mercury to Ashlesha in Cancer, and I've went through the whole Chandra cursing Aditi's child and mentioned a couple of times the Christ, prodigal son, redeemer, Lucifer, Ahriman, Jesus, all these things that create these opposites, but it's all one, and Venus being the harmonic principle, and the glyph of Mercury associating to Venus's domicile sign of Taurus, which exalts the moon. All of that feeds into the exoteric and esoteric relationships of Taurus opposite Scorpio, because the glyph of Pluto looks like Mercury, and it looks like, it's unearthing something, or like holding up the earth like Atlas. Like Pluto gives me like an Atlas vibe, whereas Mercury is like Perseus with or Orion, or one of those characters up there in the quicksilver side of the galactic anti-center point of expansion, right? Aligned with the uranium Promethean Mrigashira quality of the miraging principle of Mars, and the magical eye thinking of Cancer, Gemini cusp of magic on the esoteric cipher. All of that being a projection point that is opposite to the point where Mars exalts at the tail end of Capricorn going into Sag, right? So I just wanted to bring all of that together, and I actually tried to write something down, like use AI, but try to also like add something to it. So I'm first going to try and just read what I have, and when I have finished, I will try to like add whatever I feel like it hasn't been written yet, So Mercury as esoteric Venus takes on a multifaceted and intriguing role in the cosmic and mythological tapestry. In this interpretation, Mercury becomes the celestial messenger of Eros, symbolizing the transcendent power of love and desire that binds the universe together. Mercury, often associated with communication, intellect, and swift movement, becomes the emissary of the upper worlds of the god, or the upper world of the gods. In this role, Mercury bridges the gap between the mortal realm and the divine, serving as a conduit for the desires and intentions of the gods themselves. Like the winged messenger of the heavens, Mercury carries forth the messengers of the divine, translating the celestial will into earthly actions. Very let thy kingdom come, let thy will be done. As the messenger of Eros, Mercury embodies the essence of desire and attraction. Eros, the god of love and longing, represents the universal force that draws all beings together in a dance of connection and union. Mercury, in this context, becomes the facilitator of this cosmic attraction, ensuring that the thread of desire weaves through the fabric of existence, binding all things in a tapestry of love and longing. In the realm of mythology, Mercury takes on the aspect of the prodigal and divine sun, sun. Like the sun that rises each day, bringing light and warmth to the world, Mercury's influence is a constant presence, illuminating the path of human evolution and spiritual awakening. The sun in various mythologies often symbolizes divinity and enlightenment, and Mercury serves as the radiant harbinger of these higher truths. Mercury also embodies the archetype of the Redeemer. In many spiritual traditions, the concept of redemption involves the transformation of the self, a process of awakening to one's true nature and purpose. Mercury, as the guide and teacher of these transformative journeys, leads souls out of the darkness of ignorance and into the light of understanding and self-realization. Lastly, Mercury is seen as the fruit of the underworld. The underworld, often associated with the subconscious and hidden aspects of the psyche, holds the key to inner wisdom and self-discovery. Mercury, as the fruit of this realm, represents the grasp of the knowledge and insights that can be gained through introspection and the exploration of the depths of one's own consciousness through the serpentine Kundalini Ashlesha Ketu magic of the birth lunar star of Mercury through Cancer, the gate of man. And Punarvasu gene key 12 attenuating for the mutability of Gemini, being able to bridge into the emotional of Cancer through memory. In summary, Mercury as esoteric Venus embodies a profound and intricate set of attributes. It serves as the celestial messenger of Eros, linking the mortal and divine realms through the power of desire. Mercury is the radiant sun, the redeemer, and the fruit of the underworld, guiding humanity on a journey of enlightenment, transformation, and self-discovery. In this esoteric interpretation, Mercury's influence extends far beyond mere communication and intellect, reaching into the very heart of the human experience and the mysteries of the cosmos. So that is what I wrote down using AI and trying to tweak it a little bit. So now we are going to go to what I wrote down on the glyph symbolism related to Mercury. The symbolism of Mercury's glyph adds another layer of depth and understanding to the esoteric interpretation described above. Rudolf Steiner and Gigi Young, both known in the YouTube community for their spiritual insights, provides valuable perspectives on these symbols. So I would highly recommend checking out the Anthroposophy channel and checking out Rudolf Steiner's lectures online, and also Gigi Young. In Steiner's Anthroposophy, symbols are seen as carriers of spiritual truths. The glyph for Mercury, resembling a circle with a crescent and a cross, can be interpreted in relation to Mercury as esoteric Venus. So we know that the cross and the circle meets in the symbol of the earth, right? And we know that earth is esoterically Sagittarius's ruler, and Jupiter, that cognate terra, relates to terrestrial, which relates to the earth. Thank you, Aquila and the bee. So going back over to the beehive cluster of the Punarvasu, Sirius, Cancer, Mercury, Bright Star, Redeemer, Castor, and Pollux situation, exposed factor Orion and the cosmic hunt, and the Adam, Eve, Exodus, and the whole return, and the going through the sexual maturity of the Virgo, Asclepius, Serpentarius, Ophiuchus, Sagittarius, Scorpio transformation. On the other side, the Golden Gate. So it's like the Golden Gate is like your sexual mind, and your triple bottom line with like your most concentrate, singular focus, Mars, pointed stinger mind. like your orgasmic mind, like what is your ultimate bliss and singularity point. That's like the compression of Scorpio heading towards the galactic center and the root chakra and everything like that. But like your Promethean or your Rohini Mrigashira Mars birth Ardha situation, Rahu, which kind of like brings the Athena Mars concept of the hermaphrodite out of the Eros Pasiphae, Adam, Cadmon, Eve, Lilith, non-separate, anima, animus, androgyne. So before it was yin and yang, right? It's like it was Venus. Well, that's like what all the Kabbalistic teachings kind of like unifies back into, also that Venus and 7 is the latest addition to the solar system and the latest Hermetic principle. That's something else I heard on Slick Dissident's channel, and he works a lot with Veilikofsky's theory, trying to integrate it with the tarot and the enneagram, so check out his insights on the matter as well. So yeah, they say the circle represents the unifying and eternal nature of love and desire. It signifies the infinite, boundless quality of the love that Mercury carries as the messenger of Eros, or Uranus, Prometheus. And the Aries principle at the helm esoterically is also Mercury, which sprang from the void, the divine child in the cosmic egg that broke up into the twins of the golden hemisphere and the silver hemisphere, carrying the golden key and the silver key, and being syncretized back with Castor and Pollux, or Castor and Artemis, or Apollo and Artemis, or Paris and Helen, or all sorts of kind of like, one is on earth, one is in heaven, or whatever way they contrast it, it's twins, you know. But it's the idea of mirror images, and Kabbalistic mirrors, so equal yet opposite and relational by degree, you know, the Hermetic principle of it also. In Steiner's teachings, circles often represents the spiritual realm, emphasizing the divine nature of Mercury's role in connecting the upper world of the gods with the mortal world. The crescent in the glyph is akin to the moon, a symbol of receptivity and the unconscious. Also because they say, yeah, unconscious, I'm thinking of Dreamtime, Tepe and Veilikofsky's symbol of the crescent of Saturn being a timekeeper in that scheme. So it relates to just the fact that Mars and Venus were the apple of that eye of Ra situation, and it was the Shu definite, non-separate by the pillar of Shu, or the Gebnut rather, non-separated by Shu, but at the same time the Shu and the Tefnut is also like the Uranus and the Gaia, and the Ra and the Apep is also like the waters and the spirit on the face of it. And like all of these things can be like syncretized, but it's like it's not as if the original character was like playing that part of the story always, and that's the part I don't know. And that's the serpentine oscillation like quality of Mercury's cunning, the way it's changeable like that, and beyond time, you know, especially like when it starts projecting into the opposite as Venus in Sagittarius, the way the 5 principles of organized complexity spoke about Venus in Sagittarius as the post-orgasmic experience. So check that video out as well. So it relates to Mercury's role in guiding individuals through the realm of desire and longing, which often stems from the depths of the subconscious. Gigi Young's intuitive insight into symbolism and mythology align with this interpretation. Okay, AI wrote that. I'm not like claiming that, although I know that she has made the claim. I'm just at a point where I'm like, you know, I'm trying to integrate so many parts of my self-awareness, and it is not like laborious to me, right? It's not a laborious thing to be self-aware at this point in my life, with just the fact that I was able to learn what real love would feel like and look like and be, because I've had genuine examples of that, even through, my parents in their own right. um the choices that came from all of that. It's just me needing to give a voice to like my inner child during this transit and be like, you never wanted to own that. You were always going into magical thinking about that. You were always trying to transform it into meaning, some birth of your ego's trajectory in the highest levels of meaning, and it was turning your narcissistic abuse syndrome into like an internalized reflection of that, where you became enmeshed with that perception of yourself, and you had limerence, and you had intrusive thoughts, and you were like insecurely attached, and you were doing all these things and just tipping towards the borderline scale of going crazy, because what were you getting out of it? And then having the whole divide of like the type of positivity and the type of culture that is supposed to be the roadmap to happiness and the guides out there for that, and what really actually works and what works for you, and figuring that out. Astrology has helped me in ways that I don't want it to be taken away from me if it's like impure or demonic or something like that, because it did give me the truth, and I'm just like, where did I get duped when I kind of followed a map of meaning? You know what I mean? Did I get duped based on what I wanted to see or what I wanted things to mean? Or was it just the fact that my choice doesn't reverberate throughout the realms into perpetuity and beyond? So those were just kind of like the thoughts that were simmering in relation to just the receptive side and the active side of being mercurial, because you work with like the generating thought creativity process, but you also simultaneously work with like this memory and putting to death and recycling process. And it's very 6-2, and it's very third decan Picatrix Gemini, and it's very gene key 12 vanity to purity through discrimination. But all of those, like where that sits in my chart, opposing my ascendant, my sun, and gene key 12 opposing my Sag ascendant, and being flanked by Mercury and Venus, it just created this necessity for me to integrate seeing both of them as interchangeable. Like Venus is what comes out of Mercury going through the 6, 7, 8, 9 riddle of it all. So yeah, I wrote that the crescent in the glyph is akin to the moon, a symbol of receptivity and the unconscious, right? We said that. In relation to Mercury's role in guiding the individual through the realms of desire and longing. Okay, we already said that. Emphasizing the crescent's connection to the hidden emotional aspects of our desires. The cross, in Steiner's philosophy, signifies the intersection of the spiritual and material worlds. In Mercury's role as the prodigal and divine son, this cross represents the radiant wisdom and enlightenment he brings to humanity. Gigi Young's work often explores the intersection of cosmic and earthly energies, making the cross an apt symbol for Mercury's transformative influence. The entire glyph therefore encapsulates the essence of Mercury as the messenger of Eros, linking the infinite, the unconscious, and the realms of wisdom and transformation to the present and the patterns found as the gift of beauty in this present that you can find across many reverberations of the past, and it will be the most enduring foundation for you to build a pattern on for any sort of future. So aligning to the pattern of life and the cosmic rhythms and learning all of that. And incorporating commentary from Stein and Young, it underscores the esoteric interpretation of Mercury as a celestial and spiritual force transcending conventional associations. Their perspectives offer a deeper understanding of how symbolism can convey profound truths, enriching the narratives of Mercury's role as the cosmic messenger of love, desire, logos, anima, psyche, eros, Uranus, Gaia, and the enlightenment that communes the relationship of all hermetic opposites. So that is what I wrote down. And then I wanted to tie it all together with Venus in Pisces, which I have in my human design, in Revati and Mercury ruled nakshatra. Opposite to the sign Virgo, Hasta Sol, where Mercury would exalt, and simultaneously would debilitate Virgo, Venus would debilitate there. So I still want to explore that relationship of Venus debilitating in Virgo, but I do have some idea as to like just the archetypal qualities dancing around in my mind so long, but not to go off track. For now, I will do a video about that if you guys want me to give my thoughts as to why Virgo and Venus debilitation is a thing or isn't a thing, or what can you make of the interpretation that is kind of like the golden mean of what does it mean to get the gold. So the celestial dance of the planets and signs have long captivated the human imagination, right? Weaving together myth, symbolism, and esoteric wisdom. So in this essay we will explore the concept of Venus exalted in Pisces, and remembering the relationship of the Mercury glyph to the significations of Venus, and then knowing that Venus in Pisces being esoterically ruled by Pluto, there's that contrast of those figures, and then the whole Persephone soul and the Hades ruler of the underworld and all of that, and the, just the feet and the tails of it all, and the Capricorn, sea goat, mermaid, Malicinus of it all. So getting back to that, and also just thinking of how marine spirits and AI and Capricorn, and just building this like edifice out of like the law of water into like the law of the air by creating this transcendental digital earth point, like the camera obscura caption of the light in the box. And Venus always makes me think of like the light in the box with the prism and breaking up the light into colors. So that being said, the profound connections between these celestial forces and the rich tapestry of mythology, particularly the descent of Isis and the rise of Horus, will be explored. Additionally, we will embark on a journey through the Enneagram to chart the development, from Aries to Pisces via the 12 esoteric sign rulers. So I'm going to do a separate video section or recording section just for that, and then maybe insert it a bit later, because I really want to like work in accordance to like a mental map that I pictured for myself, and trying to also just, not throw all caution to the wind, but really like keep myself at least making a video a day. If I like fall off a day, like I want to know that I at least like had 3 videos made the previous day or something like that. You know what I mean? So because I don't want these videos also to be too long, because I'm trying to also like see how the content can be best organized, and maybe I will go through my videos and turn them into shorts, but because my thoughts are just so all over the place that it often takes the whole video for it to kind of even reach a point, if any. So where was I just now? So the journey through the Enneagram to chart the development from Aries to Pisces via the 12 esoteric sign rulers from Mercury to Pluto. I'm going to insert the cipher with letters and stuff on there, but I also want to like start throwing out my own charts and maps of these things, because I don't just want to like always remember like where did I see this in a screenshot or something, to have it legit, only knowing that like somebody else also just played around with the planetary joy scheme and the new planets and the out of place planets, and just tried to place it like Greenstone Lobo or Slick Dissident or the Universe podcast, and I saw they have Chiron for Virgo and the nodes for Libra. That's something I didn't see before. And the other thing I also didn't see before was Greenstone Lobo removing Venus from Taurus and giving it to planet X and exalting the moon. So planet X is Vulcan. So that's just interesting, because Vulcan and Aphrodite and the net of Hephaestus and Aphrodite and Aries, and so that's why I'm constantly trying to think of, in terms of honoring what the inner child received, not as a lie, but like the truth was in front of you, even if, mutable earth happened around you with this Hermia Pisces ascendant esoteric world mirror of how it all came to be, that this, and you needing an Aquarian process to distance yourself from that for whatever it is that relates to your Saturn in the 5th heart, doing this work to externalize with Mars conjunct the North Node in Virgo in the 10th. So just thinking out loud, losing my track, but finding myself back in the moment, just loving how deep and wonderful these things are. And even if it's confusing, like obviously I don't want the world to be hurt because of confusion. As grateful as I can be for every lesson that I gained, I have to be grateful for the fact that there was, mercy on me to survive or to learn how to adapt, and therefore every time we are socialized to have certain adaptive mechanisms, or like we just like aren't allowed to use our own aura to feel things out. Like if we don't trust somebody, the vibe, this and that. You know, when you have parents who tell you, greet this person, or don't be rude, or you, like in Afrikaans, like they would say, "Te sit me in die oor," you know, like you're putting like the Rahuian gaze on them and bringing out a demon that just like, and you have to accept that was your calling, because that's what they were calling it, that's what they were calling you, that's what they were associating. And you know, you disassociating to that was never wrong. At a fundamental, God was there for you level. That's what I really believe, because you were never really meant to own that. So now that we are told to own all these trauma terms of what we did and didn't do, and what our body did and didn't do, our bodies probably just know better than us by design of evolution built into it, how to survive the moment, and the mind gets to tell itself a story. But the people who lose it is when the trust gets disconnected, when they get, like they said in that video, a brain in a jar. And you compute, you search, and all you need, and what is feeding you in that jar is the Venus, the bloodline of love. You know, your desires feed into you, your desire to be. So in Aries you are, you know, check out that natal chart. It's very valuable. So Venus is often associated with love, beauty, harmony, and finds its exaltation in the ethereal waters of Pisces. In traditional astrology, this placement suggests Venus's qualities are heightened and expressed in their most refined form. Pisces, as a water sign, is deeply attuned to emotions, intuitions, and the interconnectedness of all things. It is a realm where the boundaries between self and others dissolve, allowing for a profound sense of empathy and compassion. Venus in Pisces embodies an unconditional, selfless love, often associated with spiritual and artistic pursuits. This thinks like it just like thinks, you know, because when I think of my experience of this, you know, like, comment down below if you have Venus in Pisces, what experience, you know, before I get into that part of it. But like, I have my unconscious human design Venus in Pisces, and you know, as per that design chart, I also have my Mercury conjunct Saturn in Revati Pisces. So all of this refining of my words, right? Because as my astrologer explained, it's all filtering into that sun in the 7th house and being powered by it and being fed by the identity formation process of the Jupiter in the 3rd and the Uranus Neptune in the 2nd and the Moon Pluto in the 12th, and all of that feeding into the Sag ascendant and the calibrating system of Saturn in the 5th in Aries and Mars in the 10th house, so that I can attenuate for the Leo, so that I can generate the self-expression, not for my own arrogance, but because my truth is just my truth, and I don't have to be ashamed of it anymore. I don't have to be unconscious of whether I'm acting it out, whether I am reenacting it, whether I am mastery playing it, whether I am projecting it, whether I am reflecting upon it, whether I've integrated it, whether I have dug it up again, you know, because it's just like, I don't know what people want us to do with our memories. Like, they just don't die. So how can they come to you and become part of like a new painting in your day? You know? And yes, painting has the word pain in it. But when are we going to realize that, my aunt had someone pass away in her arms last night. And she told me about how this woman was in so much pain. And we know she was a good, great, kind lady, so it was just insufferable to think that that is what she was going through. And what was insufferable to me was the fact that I wanted to be detached from it. Was the fact that I didn't want to think about when is it my turn, or when does it happen to somebody close to me, or me having this very strict mental check for myself with like, how do you talk to yourself, right? What are you telling yourself? And me having a very like acute defense against the gaslighting and all these things ever since I was young, you know. Even when at first it was more bodily reactions, and every time that it happened again, the same bodily reactions accompanied it. So I never was ungrateful for just the body remembering how something bad felt, so that I knew when it was happening again. But every time it happened again, it was a test for me to like act in accordance, not with like ego. Like, it's not about being the superhero in the movie, or like stabbing someone in the back, even if you think you're gonna do something very righteous, like save your mom. Like standing there frozen and hating yourself because you would rather kill somebody, and you don't have the courage, but you don't know why. It just, you don't have it in you. You want to have it in you. You want to stop what is wrong so bad. So, I mean, all of those things kind of like allowed me to see the Venus in Pisces as it embodies an unconditional and selfless kind of love, often associated with spiritual and artistic pursuits. Esoterically, Pisces is ruled by Pluto, the distant and enigmatic planet that governs transformation, rebirth, and the hidden depths of the human psyche. In this esoteric context, Venus in Pisces takes on a profound meaning. It signifies the transformative power of love and the capacity to transcend the limitations of the ego. This is a love that seeks union with the divine, recognizing the interconnectedness of all souls and the cyclic nature of existence. I have had my experience recognizing these things to be true. Definitely. The descent of Isis and the rise of Horus is a mythological tale that beautifully mirrors the Venus in Pisces archetype. In Egyptian mythology, Isis represents the feminine principle, the nurturing and compassionate goddess. When her husband Osiris is slain and dismembered, she embarks on a quest to gather his scattered body parts, symbolizing the fragmented human soul seeking wholeness. Through her love, devotion, and magical abilities, she reassembles Osiris and gives birth to Horus, the divine child of the sun and the moon. And this makes me think of the eye of Gemini and the way Kabbalistically all opposites comes together in the Hermetic principle of the hermaphrodite. So Isis's journey into the underworld, and also just to back up in terms of the hermaphrodite of a fetus also, that unification of opposites before like a new design gives gender as a principle its expression to that Hermetic 7 choice Libra point of this is what I stand on, this is my we are, to the anima expression of the body to the soul, and it's all one and there's no separation. And even if you feel that missing part because your placenta was cut, just recognizing that, doing a prayer for that, unbinding that astral, searching for it, and wherever you find it, if it comes up again and again, if you think you are going crazy, keep going to just make sure that you commune with yourself in a way that isn't berating, because your inner voice should love you and adorn you, and it's not about never critiquing yourself or never opening up to the world and the objectivity of otherness, always relating things to your individual experience when there's a universal plethora of this as a spectrum. So I know all of these things in a way that, it burdens me at times to know that I can only give expression to like one side of what is sitting behind these thoughts and these, voice notes that I make as kind of my own personal reflection diary. But sharing it with you guys and, doing the work that I want to apply with discipline because it is what I love. So Isis's journey into the underworld, her descent into darkness to retrieve her beloved, resonates with the Piscean themes of dissolution of boundaries and the transformative power of love. Pluto, as the esoteric ruler of Pisces, represents the depths of the unconscious and the process of rebirth and regeneration. The rise of Horus, the sun and moon, symbolizes the emergence of a higher consciousness, transcending the dualities of life and death, as the esoteric principle of Mercury, Chiron, coming through the river Styx from the underworld, as the ascended star of Ishtar, Venus, the Sirius heliacal rising of the immortals in the upper world. So the Castor Pollux-ness of that, the Mercury Pluto-ness of it, like one is the live, living brother, one is the dead, behind the scenes brother, and yet they are both here. And you can feel both there, like in the physical realm and in the intellectualized realm of it. The connection between Venus and Pisces and the descent of Isis and the rise of Horus can also be seen in other mythological and archetypal pairings. Venus and Jupiter, for instance, are often associated with the divine lovers. Apollo and Artemis representing the harmonious balance of masculine and feminine energies. Mars and Saturn embody the struggle and discipline necessary for personal transformation, while Vulcan and Neptune evoke the alchemical process of merging the earthly and the spiritual into the prima materia, which becomes the archetypal unconscious of Mercury, underworld Pluto. And from that point, it just is the way the sun yin yangs to that, with the earth in the middle of that, like a root star chakra, root earth star chakra, muladhara chakra type of thing, and a crown, and Saturn and Jupiter and Venus and Mercury and all of these junction points between, stringing together as one symphony almost. When you get to the Piscean, this is what it kind of becomes, I guess. So to further understand the progression from Aries to Pisces via the 12 esoteric sign rulers, check out the chart and we can utilize the Enneagram, a symbol of psychological and spiritual growth, alongside with sleep dissidence association of the tarot's correspondence to the Enneagram characters in Zeus's pantheon, So each sign ruler represents a stage of development and transformation, from the fiery self-discovery of Aries ruled by Mercury esoterically to the profound soul evolution of Pisces guided by Pluto. The Enneagram's 9 points reflects the 9 stages of self-awareness and spiritual enlightenment, each influenced by the unique qualities of its ruling planet and signs. In conclusion, the exaltation of Venus in Pisces and its esoteric ruler Pluto symbolizes the transcendence of ego-bound love into a higher selfless form of compassion. This archetype resonates with the mythological journey of Isis and Horus, showcasing the transformative power of love and rebirth. Through the lens of the Enneagram, we can chart the evolution from Aries to Pisces, guided by the 12 esoteric sign rulers, illustrating the soul's progression towards unity and enlightenment. This celestial and mythological tapestry reminds us of the profound interconnectedness of the cosmos and the human spirit, inviting us to explore the depths of our own souls in the pursuit of divine wisdom and love. So that's what I have, guys, so far. I wanted to just take it to another level with Venus in Cancer, but I think I'm just going to leave that here and create a separate video for that. I'm going to check in with you guys again, and I hope you guys enjoy the videos, and comment down below if there's anything in particular you would want me to address, or do a topic on, or whatever it is. I am here for the invitation, and keep well and keep keying in and keep having keys, even if it's all by yourself, because the key is within self, and the higher power of God, source, the universe, and the almighty unifying principle of love, intelligence, and wisdom. It is the creator, and it is the embodiment that finds itself named by the living word by which you call yourself. He who is like God, man, human, child of God, child of the divine, son, son of the sun. Even if your name is Jesus, or your name is not Jesus, you are what you are. So keep being the pro-myth aeon born. What's up, everybody? This is Kalen the Key Keeper, back for a key, exposing some of the esoteric keys needed to unlock the self into the multidimensional portal of being, stepping into realities that we may not think is home to us, and yet finding incredible resonance and wisdom and experience along the journey. So today I want to talk about Prometheus. I want to talk about the birth of mythological archetypes as per Veilikofsky, as per the birth of grahas in the Vedic nakshatra system, the avatars of the nakshatra deities. I also want to blend some of the Asterian astrology that I've recently been getting into, and I want to discuss Mrigashira in the context of Prometheus, because I don't think anywhere outside of Asterian astrology and pro-Oxman I have seen that connection made outright. I have seen Slick Dissident connect Auriga and the Challenger and the Vulcan archetypes through a similar thread to what we come to know of as like some sort of destroyer or enemy to the gods, or a principle that the gods need for their worship, like the way Vulcan binds Hera in a throne and, you know, gives the gods the trinkets and amulets, and he's the god of the forge, so everything crafted or technological or artistic, essentially, you know, like metallurgy and engineering and things like that come under the domain of Vulcan, because it is, you know, the great work or the great architect's great work. Vulcan is also Chitra Nakshatra in Virgo, as per Scorpio Oxman's delineation of Asterian astrology onto a mastering the zodiac chart using IAU and the actual expanse of space, and then plotting Yogataras accordingly and nakshatras accordingly. So I've really been getting into these connections, you know, on my own, seeing things here and there, hearing certain people talk about it, Dylan Sakosio, Slick Dissident, amongst others, Sivan Boma, Santos Bonacci. You know, these guys are syncretists and philologists and etymologists and researchers to the core, you know. And I just love how we have more and more confirmation as to the accuracy of true sidereal astrology, like where things really are and how we can see it, rather than these like mathematical, tropical, seasonal compression of how things are supposed to be in like a repetitive cycle. Like, no, the sun isn't like entering a sign every year on the same day and hour and minute, the way, you know, a tropical clockwork would have you think it just like runs through 30 degrees in a month of 30 days. And yeah, the little odd days and stuff, and why you have a leap year and all that shit. Like, it just like, it doesn't make sense, you know. But when the nakshatras and the Vimshatari system and the birth of the grahas and how they develop, like the birth of Mars is in Mrigashira and the deity is Soma. And when I think of Aries and Mars and Aphrodite and the moon as per Veilikofsky, and I think of, like, you know, Ardra and Brahma and Rohini and that whole story and Aditi's story, you know, you have to kind of read it all together. So the fact that the Greek mythology recognized the archetype of Prometheus as belonging to that part of the sky, the Mrigashira Taurus Gemini cusp, where like the bull's eye of Prometheus would have like shot forth Zeus's Athena, and also like Critica is where Prometheus is giving man the fire in Rohini, the Garden of Eden. and then awakening their self-consciousness and separation from source, via Adra doing the thing it does to Prajapati, the god of Rohini, and then Mrigashira being the result of that. The same way Zeus and Prometheus and mankind. Like Zeus is Pushya Nakshatra according to Asterian astrology. So it's very, very interesting, because Pushya Nakshatra, I know Jupiter exalts there, who we know is Zeus, but it's a Saturn ruled nakshatra, and it makes me think of Cancer and the fourth and Saturn's deposition in the Titanomachy and him being placed in the fourth house in Menelaus's planetary choice scheme rather than the 12th, the way other planetary choice schemes have Saturn. And also to think like the joy of Saturn's signification belonging to the very private inward Ketu, Ashlesha, birth of Mercury, Cancerian moon realm, and Isis being the eldest daughter of El, who is Saturn, and Isis is the moon. So it's the same story, like Aphrodite being told to stay out of the war between Athena and Aries. It's all telling the same story, so